Hello everyone, welcome to Strat-O-Matic University. It's a pleasure to have you for our spring session. And our first session here in Strat-O-Matic University Super Advanced. This is a super advanced university. So if you haven't graduated from basic and advanced, you might want to go back and watch some other videos on those two systems, as this class is strictly on super advanced for those that want to take the game to the next level. There are many facets of super advanced, and I'm going to try to hit all of those separately in separate videos. I've done a couple playthroughs, but they haven't really drilled down the way I would like to drill down on each individual aspect of super advanced and what makes super advanced different than advanced, because some of the rules aren't that different. Some of them are majorly different. In my opinion, the most difficult thing for people to grasp in the transition from advanced to super advanced has to do with base stealing. Holding runners, base stealing. That, to me, when I was going through the progression, that was the one that took me the longest to figure out. Not the fielding, not the ballpark effects. It was simply the stealing aspect of things. So that's what the first class is going to be on. We're going to drill down on super advanced stealing. If you want to get your textbook out, turn to page 9 in the Strat-O-Matic textbook, and we're going to be at Rule 23, Super Advanced Supplementary Stealing System. That's where we're going to go. So I'll pause the video while you get your materials ready, and while I get my materials ready, and we'll get ready to drill down on super advanced stealing. Okay, I hope you have your materials ready. The teams we're going to use today are the 2023 Colorado Rockies and the 2023 San Diego Padres. The Rockies will be in the field. The Padres will be on the base paths. So, to represent the Rockies and the Padres, pitching, we have Kyle Freeland for the Rockies, and their catcher is Elias Diaz. Base stealers for the Padres, Fernando Tatis Jr. and Matthew Batten. And you'll see in a minute why I chose these particular two, or at least why I chose Matthew Batten. Okay, so first thing you want to do before you do anything else on stealing is figure out the hold. And, well, how do you do that? Okay, here's exactly how you do that. Turn over to this side, obviously, and we'll put the pitcher and catcher right here together. Right here where it's easy to see. In fact, I might even drill down a little bit lower so you can see the cards maybe even better, hopefully. Let's get down and dirty here. So let me see how they're looking. It looks like they're pretty good from here, from what I'm looking at. Hopefully these lights aren't too bright. Let me move them out of the way. Maybe they were too bright before. I don't know. I think they're okay now. All right, so what we need are two pieces of information off of these cards. For the pitcher, we need the hold rating, which is right next to where it tells you if he throws left-handed or right-handed. There is a hold rating with either a number here that's either a negative, a 0, or a positive number. In this case, for Kyle Freeland, it's a positive 2. So we either write it down physically or put it in our mind. He is a +2. Second number we need is the catcher arm, and that is always in parentheses next to the catcher. Got his defensive rating, which is a 3, but then his arm rating is a -2. So, simple addition, we're going to take the pitcher hold rating, add it to the catcher hold rating to come up with a number. Whatever that number is, you cannot exceed 5, positive 5, and you cannot get lower than -5. In this case, we get a 0 because we have a +2 and a -2. So in this case, it's a 0. Let me find another catcher or another pitcher for the Padres, for the Rockies rather, since I have them handy. Let's find somebody that's not a very good pitcher as far as holding runners on. Let's see who would be a good. Oh, here's a good one, Justin Lawrence. Let's look at Justin Lawrence, and we'll look at the other catcher that they might have. No, that's not the one I want. Well, we'll just go with what we got, I guess. So don't see any other catchers that I can use. Just trying to find a catcher with a positive arm, but I don't see it. So we'll just go with it. All right, so suppose we were not going to use Kyle Freeland, but instead Justin Lawrence is on the mound. Let's say Kyle Freeland got knocked out of the game. Justin Lawrence is in relief. Well, we had the 0 as our effect going throughout the game, but once Freeland leaves, we have to readjust that based on the new pitcher. Well, Justin Lawrence is a +4. So now we're going to add the 4 to the -2 here and get a +2. So with him in the game, the adjustment is a +2. With Freeland in the game, the adjustment is a 0. So let's start out with Freeland as if he is the starting pitcher in the game. We'll do a couple of examples with Freeland on the mound, and then we'll say that Justin Lawrence has entered the game as a relief pitcher and go from there. All right. Let's go straight into the rule book. And let me make sure you can see the rule book. So we're going to go straight to our rule book. Move my coffee out of the way. Straight into the supplementary steel book, or portion of the rule book. And let's see. It says, for the ultimate in strategy and realism, we recommend the supplementary stealing system. In this system, each base runner is rated for the frequency in which he runs, which is i.e. the ability to get a good lead, and his success rate. He'll be working against both the catcher's throwing arm and the pitcher's ability to hold runners close to the base. Okay, so that's what we're saying. In advance, you're not worried about the pitcher hold rating. You're only worried about the catcher arm. Here, the pitcher hold rating comes into effect and makes a difference. All right, here. It says, 23.1, ignore the base runner's letter grade stealing rating, which you use in advance. You use the letter grade, but we're not doing that here. Instead, use the numeric rating found on the advanced side of the batter's card after the letter grade rating. Here is a sample. Okay, so let's look at Fernando Tatis as our sample. Fernando Tatis, if we come over here, it says, ignore the rating found on the advanced side of the batter's card after the letter grading. Okay, so ignore that. So we're going to use these numbers here. 4, you see how this has an 8-10 and this has a 4-6. There's also an asterisk here. Asterisk is very important because if a player has an asterisk and he's not being held, that means he gets the lead automatically. He does not have to try for the lead. He will get the lead automatically. So if you see a player with an asterisk, you really need to hold him on. It's simple as that. Or else he's going to get the jump automatically. All right, now over here, you see we have the numbers here to the left of the slash. Those are the numbers he needs to obtain to get said jump. The numbers to the right of the slash, if there are any, are automatic outs. I think in the other video I said pickoff, and actually technically by the book, it says a caught stealing. You can call it caught stealing, pickoff, whatever you want. It's not really relevant. It's the fact is he's out. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. The first number in parentheses is the base running chance or stealing chance when he gets the jump. When the jump is acquired, we use that number. If he tries to steal without the jump, then we use that number. But right now, we're focusing on these two numbers plus, if he gets it, then this number. All right, now let's go over here and the book will kind of tell you what I just told you in so many words. It says the numbers preceding the slash are the range when the two colored dice are rolled, indicating when the runner will establish his good lead. Okay, so again, these numbers means the two D6s, whether red, white, blue, whatever. Well, not white, but if they're red or blue or whatever color you want, the two D6s have to total either a 4 or a 6. There's a comma there. It's not a dash, so it's not 4 through 6. It is 4 or 6. So in this case, it says the numbers immediately after the slash are the range indicating when the runner will be automatically out stealing. Okay, I think one time before, like I said, I erroneously said pickoff, but to me, pickoff caught stealing. Maybe in my mind, they threw to first, he broke for second. It was kind of like they picked him off, but he tried to steal, so technically it's a caught stealing. So we'll go with that. And it says better base stealers, which Fernando Tatis is, better base stealers have no automatic outs. We'll see a hyphen instead of a number range. And there you go, you got the hyphen right there. And it says, something else just came up in 2311 right here. It says players who steal often have an asterisk in front of their good lead range. The asterisk indicates that the defensive manager does not elect to hold the runner automatically achieves his good lead. If a runner does not have an asterisk, or if he has an asterisk but is held on base, he must roll the 2 colored dice to determine whether he achieves a good lead, which is kind of what I just said earlier. All right, now, 23.12. Most pitchers and some batters have no number rating for stealing. If these players attempt to steal, they begin with a success rate of 0, and after all adjustments for the hold, etc., their minimum success is a 1. Okay, some pitchers have supplementary steal ratings. These pitchers are listed separate on the roster sheet, and that's if you got the pitcher running. But in the DH world that we live in now, that's not going to occur. But if you're using an older season, the roster sheet should have different steal ratings. Most pitchers are 10s, but the ones that have exceptions will be on the roster sheet. Everybody else will be assumed to be a 10. And if you're trying to steal with a pitcher, that's probably not a good idea anyway. All right, the 2 numbers in parentheses indicate the runner's stealing success rate on a roll of a 20-sided die. The first when he gets a good lead, second when he does not, which is what I just said earlier. That's the good lead. That's when he doesn't get the good lead. Okay, 23.2. If a runner attempts to achieve his good lead and succeeds, he must attempt to steal immediately. So you want to calculate his success chance first. Okay, so if he attempts to get the lead and he achieves it, he must steal. If he attempts to get the lead and does not get the lead, he's not bound to steal. He can just hold there. All right, here's a typical sequence for determining whether to steal and how to do it. All right, 23.3 in the rule book on page 9. Combine the catcher's arm, which will range from -5 to +5, and the pitcher's hold rating, which will range from -6 to +9. This sum may not exceed the range of -5 to +5, which is what I talked about earlier. So in our example, Kyle Freeland again was a +2, but Elias Diaz was a -2, so the sum is a 0. So that means the pitcher hold combination is a 0. All right, so it is a 0. And it gives an example here, same kind of thing. So we go down here. The defensive manager decides whether to hold a runner on base. If so, there's a further adjustment of -2 from the first steal success and a -4 from the second. So what makes it extra hard to steal when you don't get the jump is not only are you using this lower number, but instead of being a -2 for being held, it's a -4. So that number actually drops to a 9. So he's being held and he doesn't get the jump. He's already down to a 9 before you even factor the pitcher-catcher into play. So it really minimizes the chance for him to get a steal. Okay. It says, note that the effect of holding the runner is applied after calculating the catcher-pitcher adjustment, so the total effect can exceed -5. So what they're saying is, if the pitcher-catcher combination is a -5, then you can actually have a -7 because being held is another -2 on top of that. So that they're calculated separately. All right, the offensive manager must decide whether to attempt to steal. If so, then check first to determine if the runner achieves his good lead. Again, if the runner's an asterisk rating and the runner's not being held, he automatically gets this lead. If the runner does not have an asterisk or is an asterisk and is being held on base, then roll the 2 colored dice to check the runner's numbers range. If the roll falls within the range of the first set of numbers, the runner achieves a good lead. So in our case, i.e., if we roll a 4 or a 6, he would get the good lead. Okay, let's see here. If the roll falls within the range of the second set of numbers, the runner is automatically out stealing. That would be if he had a number here. Right now it's an asterisk, but not an asterisk, it's a hyphen. But if he had a number here, he'd be automatically out on a caught stealing. If the roll does not fall within either range, the runner has failed to achieve his good lead. And then at that point, it's up to the offensive manager to decide whether you hold the runner or try to steal anyway. If the runner rolls for his good lead and achieves it, he must steal immediately. If the runner fails to achieve a good lead, he has the option of stealing at any time or of holding his base, which is what we just said basically. The base runner may make only one attempt for a good lead while he occupies the same base, unless if a runner being held on base attempts and fails to achieve a good lead, he may try for the good lead once more if the defensive manager later decides to cease holding the runner on base. So say with nobody out there holding him on and he tries for lead and doesn't get it, he could go again if with 2 outs the manager declares we're not holding the runner on anymore, then he can obviously try for the lead. If the defensive manager changes a pitcher with the worst hold rating or a catcher with a worse arm, a runner who was previously attempted and failed to achieve a good lead may try for the good lead once more. So if Fernando Tatis is at first base while Kyle Freeland's on the mound, and then in the middle of an inning, the Rockies manager says, I'm going to bring in Justin Lawrence now, well, that changes the ball game. That changes the whole number effect. So that means Tatis will now get a chance to once again try for that lead if the pitcher is changed in the middle of an inning while he's still at that base and has not moved from that base. Okay, go on to the next page, page 10. Page 10. All right, let's look over here. If a steal is attempted, use the runner's adjusted first success rating if he has a good lead and has his adjusted second success rating if he does not. So there you go. Again, with Fernando Tatis, if he gets the lead, we're using this first number, 19. If he does not get the good lead, we're using the second number, 13. If the runner is not being held on base, his adjusted success rating may exceed 20, in which case he automatically is safe. If he is held on, then his success rate may not exceed 19. His success rate may not be lower than 1. So even if his, say this number is 19, the pitcher, and he's being held on, and the pitcher catcher hold rating is like a +5, that would put it way above 20, but 19 is as high as it would go. That means on a D20 roll of 20, he would still get caught stealing. So that's kind of what that's saying there. Now, the second thing to look at, if he's trying for the steal, is if you roll a 1, 2, or 3 on a successful steal of 1, 2, or 3. Now, if he's out on a 1, 2, or 3, this is irrelevant. But if his number to succeed is greater than 3, and we roll a 1, 2, or 3, there's a possible throwing error by the catcher. This is called the T rating on the catcher. Elias Diaz has a T rating of 1 to 12. So what does that mean on a 1 to 12? All right, roll the 20-sided die again. Refer the catcher's card for his T numbers, which is what we just did there, T 1 to 12. If the second roll is within the T range, the catcher has committed a throwing error, allowing all base runners to advance 1 additional base. If the second roll is outside the T range, no error occurs. So again, if Tatis tries to steal, and his success range is a 19, obviously, or 16, or whatever the adjustment is, it's much higher than the 3. But if the D20 is a 1, 2, or 3, we go to the second check, which is the T rating, or the throw rating, to check for error. And if we roll a 1 to 12 on the D20, 12 or less on the D20, it will be a throwing error. He will throw the ball in the center field, and everybody gets an extra base. If the defensive manager decides that the risk of throwing error is greater than the value of attempting to throw the runner out, the catcher may elect to hold the ball rather than attempt to throw. So if you figure this all out, he's a 19 right now, and then if you had Lawrence in there with his +4 and -2 from Diaz is a +2, that would make that a 21. Being held would put him back to a 19 because of the -2. And the only way to get him out is a 20, and you figure, it's a 5% chance that he's going to be out, 95% chance he's going to be safe. But if I roll a 1, 2, or 3, I got this throwing error that's into play. We can say, all right, we're going to hold the ball, and that's what a lot of major league teams do. The catcher, if the guy gets such a good steal, a jump or whatever, he just eats the ball, basically, is what that's saying. So that's what we're doing there. So, and I will do some examples. Don't worry, I'm going to roll some examples of these. So I'm just kind of hitting the basics right now to kind of establish the foundation, because without a good foundation, everything crumbles. All right, now, I'm not going to really get into too much of the stealing home or double steals or whatever. I will touch on the third baseman, which is on 23.4. It says to steal third, the runner will be using his adjusted second steal rating. So Fernando Tatis, if he's going to try to steal third, we don't look at this 19 anymore. We're looking at 13. That's all we're looking at is 13. So it says, so if he's being held on base, deduct 4 from his rating. So if he's at second base and they're holding him on because either they think he's going to steal third or they want to hold him on from trying to get a jump to score on a single, we're going to have -4 to this to make it a 9. So it says here, and then they also do the pitcher-catcher thing after that. So example, we got a 19 right here, 19-14 stealer. Here we got a 19-13 stealer. So the example almost fits to a T. All right, so he's held on by a pitcher with a +1 hold and a catcher of a -2 arm. The success rate would be a 9, which is the 14 of his secondary number, -4 for being held, the +1 of the hold for the pitcher, the -2 of the arm of the catcher, and you add these all up and you get the 9. It says ignore the runner's asterisk on attempt to steal to third base and home. He must roll for the range of his good lead in order to attempt to steal these bases. So Just because he has an asterisk here, which means if he's not held, he gets to jump automatically to steal second. That is not the case for stealing third, because this number is irrelevant to stealing third. You always go to this number, so the asterisk on that is irrelevant. All right, it says here, he must roll within the range of a good lead in order to attempt to steal these bases. So again, even if he wants to steal third, he's still got to hit these two numbers, 4 or 6. It's the only way he can do it, or even attempt it. If he fails to achieve a good lead, he may not attempt to steal. If the roll falls within the range of his automatic out, he is out stealing, just like this guy here, Matthew Batten. He's got an 8 on his number. That's an automatic out number. So if he rolls to get a lead, whether he's trying to steal second or third, if we roll an 8, he's automatically out, and that's all she wrote. Automatically out. So let's see. Otherwise, follow the instructions for stealing second base. So basically, take the same instructions we just had and steal third, but we use these adjustments. I'm not going to really bother about stealing home, because most people don't. I don't think I've ever tried stealing home in all the years I've played Strat-O-Matic, so it's just not worth that gamble. So I'm going to pause the video, get a pair of dice, and also D20, because I want to go over the pick-off and the balk portion as well. So let me pause the video and get those dice. Okay, before we start rolling any dice or whatnot, we're going to go to page 10, the bottom of page 10 in the rule book, or in your textbook, as we like to call it, for Strat-O-Matic University. And we're going to look at item number 24, Pickoffs and balks. Says optional, but if you're going to play super advanced, I think you ought to use it. Just just adds a little flavor to me. Some people don't like it. Hey, you play the way you want to play. That's the beauty of Strat-O-Matic. All right, it says here, if you are using the optional system for individual balks, wild pitches, and pass balls, pickoffs and pass balls are possible when using the supplementary stealing system. A more complete description of the balk, wild pitch, pass ball systems is in section 29, which we can go over and look at if we need to. All right, so when rolling for a lead, also roll the 20-sided die along with the 2 colored dice. So that means you roll the dice and you roll the D20 as well. If the D20 is a 3 to 20, discard the D20 side and continue normally with the steal system. Of course, it says if the steal is attempted, you will need to re-roll the D20 again. You don't keep the same D20 roll, you re-roll it again. If the D20 roll is a 1, the runner attempting the lead may be picked off. Refer to the runners, and we'll look at Tatis. We refer to the runners' second steal success rating, which is this 13 here for Tatis. It says in parentheses right here, number 13. And roll the 20-sided die again. If the number rolled is less than or equal to the runner rating, so less than or equal to 13, the runner dies back in safely. But has it failed to achieve his good lead and he cannot get the lead, he cannot try. If the number rolled is higher than the runner's rating, the runner has been picked off. So right here, if you roll 14 or higher, 14 to 20 on the D20, he is picked off. Okay. Now, if the 20-sided die roll is a 2, there's a possible balk. So let's go back to Kyle Freeland. Probably not the best example for him because he's got a 0 balk rating, but if we roll a 2, it's a possible balk. It says refer to the balk rating at the top of the advanced card of the side and roll the 20-sided die again. Well, he has a 0 here, so we really don't have to worry about a balk. But if he had a number here, we roll for it. Say he had a 2 here. His balk rating was a 2, just like his wild pitch rating is a 2. Then we roll the D20, and if it's a 1 or a 2, he would balk. If it's higher than that number, then there's nothing happening. And it says, if the number rolled is less than or equal to the balk rating, the balk has occurred. All base runners advance 1 base. If the number rolled is higher than the balk rating, the runner dies back safely, but the runner has failed to achieve a good lead. So again, either of these situations, he has failed to achieve a good lead. Okay. Now, let me look real quickly at the section 29 they're talking about, and we'll see if that's relevant to what I want to talk about or whether that's something else. Okay, well, I guess we can include it because runners on base. It's not necessarily dealing with stealing, but it's runners on base. It's what I call the old Havoc roll. That's what I termed it, or what I've heard termed before, so just used it. It says at the top of the side of their cards, each pitcher, this is number 29 on page 12, bottom of page 12 in your textbook. At the top of the advanced side of their cards, each pitcher is rated individually for his balk and wild pitch frequency. And each catcher is rated for pass ball frequency. Each is on a scale of 0 to 20, with 0 being the best, resulting in the fewest of these plays. Now it says, to use these ratings, follow these rules whenever there is at least one runner on base. So as soon as somebody gets on base, this is when you initiate this process. When rolling the three-sided dice to get a result from the player's card, or when using the bunt and hit and run chart, roll a 20-sided die at the same time. So sometimes I do it before the roll. Sometimes, sometimes I'll do this prior to rolling the 3 6-sided die, but technically by the book, I should be doing it at the same time. So we'll say we'll do it at the same time. So we're going to roll 3 dice at the same time. Okay. We don't get we can roll to 5 here, let's say. Okay, so that's the roll for the, well, there's actually should be another white die here, but that's irrelevant. So, no, I do need it. Never mind. I didn't think I was going here, but I did. All right. Okay, I think we're back now. I had a little slight snafu with my headset. Forgot to get the other the 1d6, the white d6, because I wasn't planning on going here. But all right. So let's re-roll this again. Okay, so we're with the batters. There's a runner on first. So let's just say we have Justin Lawrence pitching. Fernando Tatis is batting. Let's say Fernando Tatis is at first. So we have Lawrence pitching, we have batting, and we have Tatis at first. Okay, so this is a sample roll. Let's say we roll this. All right, we get an 18 on the D20, and we get a 4-9 on the dice. All right, it says here, if the 20-sided die is 3 to 20, continue with normal reading of 3 dice. So in this case here, this was not a 1 or a 2. So we just go into straight at bat. 4-9 on Lawrence's card against a right-hander would be a ground ball shortstop X, and we resolve that on a defensive play. But let's say for instance, we got a 1, and we did whatever. Okay, we got a 1. All right. It says here, if the 20-sided die roll is a 1, a wild pitch may occur. Refer to the pitcher's wild pitch rating and roll the 20-sided die again. All right, Justin Lawrence's wild pitch rating is an 8. So we roll the D20 again. If we get an 8 or less, he would throw a wild pitch. In this case, it would be a wild pitch because the 2 is less than the 8. So it says if the number rolled is less than or equal to the wild pitch rating, a wild pitch occurs and all base runners advance 1 base. All right, obviously, if it's higher than that, then there's no wild pitch that occurs, and you drive on with the at-bat. And that says it here. If your initial roll on the 20-sided die yields a 1 or a 2, but no wild pitch, balk or pass ball occurs, you must re-roll the 3 6-sided dice without the 20-sided die to continue the play. So you would want to, obviously, if there's no thing there, you re-roll them again, which is why I like to roll the Havoc thing ahead of time. But you do it the way you want to do it. I mean, this is kind of, they're telling you how to do it by the book, but a lot of times people like to have their own ways of doing it, and it's really, as long as you're covering all the bases, pardon the pun, then you're okay. All right, so if the 20-sided die is a 2, then a balk or pass ball may occur. So then we're going to roll this is after all three dice are rolled, and the 2 comes up on the D20. You don't keep this white number here. You have to re-roll it again. So when we got a 2, we're checking for a balk or a pass ball. Now, we re-roll the white die. If the white die is a 1, a 2, or 3, then we're checking for a balk. If it is a 4, a 5, or a 6, then we're checking for a balk. I'm sorry, for a pass ball. So let's see here, it says, roll the white side. If it comes up 1, 2, or 3, a balk may occur. If it comes up 4, 5, or 6, a pass ball may occur. In either case, roll the 20-sided die again and refer to the appropriate rating, the pitcher's balk rating or the catcher's pass ball rating. If the number rolled is less than or equal to the rating, then a balk or pass ball has occurred, and all base runners advance 1 base. So in this case, we rolled a 2, which means we might have a balk or pass ball. So we re-roll the white die. We get a 3. That tells us we're going to our balk chances. Well, in this case, Justin Lawrence has no balk rating. His rating for a balk is a 0, so you wouldn't have to roll the d20. But let's say he had a balk rating of 7. Say his number here was a 7 for balk rating. Roll the d20. Got a 19, no balk, and we just continue with the at-bat. All right, it says if the initial roll 20-sided die, 1 or 2, but no balk occurs, you must re-roll all 3 6-sided dice without the 20-sided die to continue play. All right, so once there was no balk, then they're saying take the three dice and re-roll it again for the at-bat. So it'd be a 4-3, and we go over here to a fly ball right field X for Justin Lawrence against Matthew Batten with Tatis at first base. If a wild pitch, balk, or pass ball did occur, you must re-roll all 4 dice to continue. Now what that's saying is, all right, let's say we rolled for a wild pitch on the first initial chance, and you got the 1 on the d20, which means it's a possible wild pitch. If we rolled again and got within the wild pitch rating, and the runners moved up, you repeat the process because it's possible he could throw a wild pitch once again on the second try. So then we re-roll again, and since that's not a 1 or a 2, we'd move on. But if we rolled a 1 or 2 the second time, we go through the same process again because it could happen multiple times. Could happen multiple times. All right, now let's move down to 29.2 when a runner is attempting to steal. This goes back in with the catcher holding and whatnot. So in this case, Tatis is at first base. He's going to try to steal. And we already know that, well, let's bring in Freeland, because we know with Freeland there and we know with Diaz there, the combination is a 0. The +2 from Freeland and the -2 from Diaz is a 0. So that means Tatis, if he wants to try to get the lead, he has to obtain a 4 or a 6. And if he gets the lead, we go to that first number, 19, with no adjustment because the pitcher and the catcher is a no adjustment, just a -2 for being held. So we're going to roll and see if we can get said lead. All right, so we roll the d20 with it. We got a 3, which means he did not get the lead, and a 14, which means nothing happened. Now, had we rolled for this, it says if the roll is a 3 through 20, discard the d20 sided die and continue normally. If the 20 sided die is a 1, the runner attempting to steal may be picked off. Refer to the runner's secondary steal rating and roll the 20 sided die again. So in this case, if we roll a 1 when we're trying to get the lead, say we're trying to get the lead, he got his 5, which is not the lead anyway, but that number is irrelevant. But if we're trying to match one of these numbers and we roll the d20 and it comes up as a 1, that means Freeland's going to try to pick him off. So what we do there is once the pickoff is established, that might happen, is we go to the secondary lead number, which in this case for Tatis is a 13. We're going to re-roll the d20. If it's a 1 to 13, he gets back. If it's 14 to 20, he is picked off. So roll it again. That's 12. He means he got back. So in this case, he would have gotten back. All right, now if we're rolling to get the lead, and let's say we rolled a 2 on the d20. Can't roll a 2 on demand, so I got to manufacture it, obviously. So let's say we rolled a 2 on the d20. Then, if you roll a 2 on the d20, go to letter C in 29.2. If the 20-sided die roll is a 2, there's a possible balk. Refer to the pitcher's balk rating. Again, unfortunately, Kyle Freeland has a 0 balk rating. But let's just pick a guy that has a balk rating. Let's see if I can find a guy that has a balk rating. All right, Daniel Bard has a balk rating. So we're going to say Daniel Bard came into the game. He is now the new pitcher, and he does have a balk rating of 7. His balk rating is a 7 for Daniel Bard. His balk rating is a 7. All right, so we rolled the 2 when Tatis was trying to get the lead. We rolled the 2, which triggered this balk chance. So we're checking for a balk. So we're going to roll the 20-sided die again. Compare it to Bard's or whoever the pitcher is, their balk rating. In this case, he's a 7. It says if the number rolled is less than or equal to the balk rating, a balk has occurred. If the number rolled is higher than the balk rating, the runner dives back safely, but the runner has failed to achieve the lead. So in this case, that's a 5, means Bard just balked. Just balked Tatis to second base. Okay, so that's the through the book type of thing. Now let's do some examples. Maybe clearer with some examples. I don't know. A lot of times examples make things clearer. All right, in this case, I will go ahead and bring the dice tray in so I can roll the dice. And you can see what's happening. Okay, let's go ahead and get... In fact, I'll go ahead and use Daniel Bard. He's probably a good one to use anyway. So I'm going to use Daniel Bard. He's in the game now, pitching. And we're going to calculate the pitcher-catcher hold rating. He is a 0. Diaz is a -2. So that means any runner, when they try to get their jump, or if they get their jump, we're going to adjust their number by a -2 based on these two numbers. All right, and if he's being held on, it's another -2. So in this case, let's get everybody in the moment. Probably to bring this up a little bit to fit all the cards in. So let's make sure we're clear on these. Okay. Dice tray is taking up a lot of space, unfortunately, but that's just the way it goes. Trying to fit everything in. Okay. Actually, it might be better to do it this way. Maybe I can fit them all in this way. I hope. Maybe I can't, so we'll try it this way. Okay. We'll just do it this way. We can see enough of Tatis's card to get the information that we need. Okay, so... And let's say we got anybody you want batting, doesn't matter. But we're going to decide Tatis is on first base, and he's decided that he wants to try to get a jump. All right. So the first thing we've done is already established that the pitcher hold and catcher arm rating combination is a -2. So we're going to take this 19 once we get to see if it gets the lead or not, first of all. So let's roll for the lead. 2 D6s and the D20 to check for pickoffs. All right, that's a 7, which means it's not in his range. His range is only a 4 or a 6. So in this case, he tried to get the lead, didn't happen, and you drive on with the at-bat, and he cannot get the lead. Let's try again. Same thing, 7, can't get the lead. I might have to manufacture a roll here shortly. 6, okay, this time he does get the lead because we rolled a 6. Now the D20 is a 9, which means since it's not a 1 or 2, it's irrelevant. We know now he has the lead. He got the lead with that 6. So now he's going to try to steal. In fact, he has to steal. It's no turning back at this point. He's got to steal. So his adjusted steal rating with the lead is a 19. Now, we reduce that by 2 points for being held, because you reduce the first number by 2 with a good lead, reduce the second number by 4 with a bad lead. He's got the good lead, so it's just a -2. So 19 minus 2 is a 17. We come over here, use the pitcher hold, catcher arm adjustment. That's a -2. So you get 19 minus the 2 is a 15. So it means on a 1 to 15, he would steal it. And if we roll a 1, 2, or 3 on the D20, not only is it a successful steal, but the catcher, Diaz, may have thrown the ball away. So that's a 6, successful steal. No throwaway, it's a successful steal. He is now on second base. But... and again, I'm going to probably manufacture something, I guess, because it's not going to happen the way I want. So let's say we roll that on this steal attempt. That's a 1. It's a 1, 2, or 3. So now we're going to check and see if Diaz threw the ball in center field. His T rating is a 1 to 12. Reroll this again. If it's a 1 to 12, that means he throws the ball away into center field. And he did. It's a 6. That means he throws the ball in center field, E2. So it's stolen base plus an E2. Tatis will now move to third base. And anybody that's on base already, which would be on third base if there was, the guy on third base, if there was a guy on third base there, would automatically score. So it wouldn't be a guy on second, or else he wouldn't be trying to steal. So unless he's part of a double steal, which we're not going to get into. So that's how that plays out. So let's try another one. Trying to get the jump. That's a 7. He cannot get the jump. All right. There's a 1. Trying to get the jump, there's a 1, which means he could possibly be picked off. There was a 1 there. So to be checking for pickoff, we got the secondary number of 13. We're going to re-roll the D20. If it falls into 13 or less, he gets back safely. 14 or higher, he has just been picked off. In this case, it's 16. That means that Tatis would have been picked off first base. All right, trying to think of anything else that might come up. So let's roll again. And we're going to roll for the lead. But this time it's going to come up being a 2 on the D20. Oops, a 2 on the D20, which means it's a possible balk or a pass ball. All right, balk or pass ball. We roll on the 1d6 and we get a 1, which means we're checking Bard for his balk rating. Roll the D20. If it's a less than or equal to his balk rating, he is balked. It is. That means he just balked. Okay. It's going to try for the steal again, and this time we roll a 2 once again on the D20. So again, we're checking for either balk or pass ball, but this time the D6 is a 2. I'm sorry, this time the D6 is a 4. So that means since it's a 4, 5, or 6, we're checking pass ball rating. Diaz has a pass ball rating of 1, which means we have to roll a 1 on the D20 in order for it to be a pass ball. No pass ball, drive on. But had we rolled a 1, then it would be a pass ball, and Tatis doesn't have to worry about stealing second base. Diaz would put him there on the pass ball. So I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to cover in Super Advanced Stealing, covering pickoffs and whatnot. I'll go ahead and finish up the video here. And if anybody has any questions, you can leave them in the comment field. If something wasn't explained, to where you feel you're comfortable with it, just let me know, and I will attempt to come back and either answer your question in the comments, or if I have to, I will do a secondary video to spruce it up a bit and drill down even further. But hopefully that covers what you need on the Strat-O-Matic Super Advanced Stealing. Again, if you got your textbook, all this started on page number 9. The bottom of page 9. The bottom of page 9, number 23, and it goes all the way in this whole gray section. Everything in gray is super advanced in the rule book. Everything white is either basic or advanced. So anything in the gray is what we're talking about. It's not 50 Shades of Gray, but it's gray. So all that area there is where we're referring to. So hopefully that has made some sense. I know when I was doing the straight playthrough, even though I was trying to go as slow as I could, sometimes maybe without breaking it down and going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, some things can be lost in translation. So I'm hoping by doing that, the way I just did it here, that helps. Again, there will be future videos on different things like in Super Advanced, like let me show the cards. Show Charlie Blackmon's card here. All right. One of the things that really can be confusing sometimes is this B question mark result. So I'm going to do a separate video on all the B question mark situations that come up. The B's and the B, well, not the B's, because the B's are pretty self-explanatory. It's the B question marks. So my next video on the Strat-O-Matic course is going to be on the B question marks. The other things in Super Advanced, I'm going to do one on another one. The third one we'll do is on robbing home runs. We'll do one on robbing home runs, which will include the ballpark effects. I'll do those first, and then talk about the robbing the home runs after we calculate ballpark effects. The other ones, I might do one miscellaneous to capture everything else, such as the clutch situations and the triangle situations. So I'll cover that. Those will be together in one, and I might throw that in there with the fielding. So I probably will try to do about 3 or 4, I would say 3 more videos probably. But my next video definitely is going to be, if I do another video, it depends on how well this is received. If people think this is junk, then I won't do a second video. But anyway, the next topic that I think gets people, and I'm going by personal experience, when I was learning the game, This one is the one that kind of threw me off a little bit too, was the B question marks. So next video, next class will be about the B question marks. And if you want to read ahead before the class begins, I'll take you to the textbook and show you where these are located. So in the textbook, Strat-O-Matic textbook, to get those B question mark questions taken care of, we go to page 5 in the textbook, and we're going to look under section 14. Now the area in white is for advanced, but the gray area here and especially over here is where we're going to look at for these B question marks. So B question marks, and it's got robbing and home runs right underneath it, so I may go ahead and combine those two. I may go ahead and combine robbing the home runs with that. I think that's probably a better idea. So next video is going to incorporate the B question marks and the robbing home run chances. That'll be the next video at Strat-O-Matic University. So I hope you enjoyed this class. And if you did, then please let me know. Leave a like to say that you liked it. If you have not subscribed to the class, or the channel in that case, that would be much appreciated, because that will get this out to more people. The likes will get this out to more people on the YouTube algorithms and whatnot. I don't understand their algorithms. It's what people say, so I'll throw it in there as well, assuming that they are correct in their assumptions. And that way more people who like Strat might be able to find this video helpful. But that's going to be it for session number 1, which is the stealing, the pickoffs, throwing errors, and such with base running situations. The next video will be on the B question mark and the robbing the home runs. The third video I'm going to do is going to be on the clutch situations and the triangles. And if that's not enough of if that gets too fast where I don't need anything else, then I'll start talking about base hits to the outfield with cutting the throw and making those decisions about whether you let the ball go through and what's the ramifications of that, whether you cut the throw, what's ramifications of that. But short term, we're looking at the B question marks and the robbing the home runs. That's going to be the next video, part 2, or session number 2 here at Strat-O-Matic University. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation of Strat-O-Matic Super Advanced. And until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.